Hey everyone, I'm Nisha and I'm the South Asian Mystic and welcome to my channel. I hope all of you are having a great day. So today I decided to do something fun. I decided to answer a couple of questions from three different tag challenges. These tags are from different creators, but they have one thing in common, which is the theme. And the theme is witchy slash magic. So I'm going to be linking down the creators or whoever's VR I'm doing to, which include Claire Rousseau, who's a booktuber. I've taken her booktube tags and turned them into literal witchy slash magic tags. And the others are two practitioners who go by the name Saturnarium and Ecowitch. So I'll put all of their links down below so you can go check out the original videos that I'm doing a response to. So without any further ado, let's get down right to the magical tag medley. Starting off with the very first question, which is what is your witchy name? So I don't have one. I use my own name, which is Nisha, or my full name Nisha Agni, when I'm doing my practice. And this is mainly because I feel that using my own name gives me a sense of completion, a sense of realism. That is, I feel like the spell is for me, by me, and it is directed at me. What aspect or subject of the craft do you enjoy the most? So this is a two-parter. So in terms of subjects, I really love bibliomancy, which is divination with books. As you can see my books here, this is just one of many bookshelves in my house, and I use a lot of bibliomancy. Other subjects that I really love in the craft are elemental magic, glamour magic, working with animal spirits and botanical spirits, and of course oracle cards. So these are the things that I really love to work with. These are the subjects that I really enjoy. In terms of the aspect of the craft that I really like, I love the fact that ever since my spirituality has expanded, I have become more attuned to Mother Nature. For example, when I go out for a walk or when I'm in my terrace or balcony and I talk to my plants, I talk to the trees around me, I can feel them listening, I can sense their energies, which is something that I was not able to do before. And so for me, my craft, my spirituality, my magic has really helped me get more in touch with nature, understand the energies and feelings of plants and animals, and really allowed me to become a better human being towards them, a better co-species, you could call it, towards the natural elements around me. So that's the aspect that I love about my magic. What's your favorite witchy song or group? Well, I don't have a favorite witchy group, but my favorite witchy song is the song Witch by Its Slums. And this is a song that I had used. It's actually an instrumental rather than a lyrics based song, and I really love the vibe of the song. It's got a really heavy metaphysical occultish kind of a theme, and I just really love it. And I'd use this music background to show off my living altar oracle, which I purchased, and it turned out to be quite a hit because the song sort of really matched the vibe of the cards. So that's my favorite song. What was the last witchy item that you brought? So the last thing that I brought home was the mystery box from the Lilith store. You see the candle over here, that's one of the items that came along with the mystery box. And so it's a metaphysical shop in India, and they sell metaphysical products like shops, like candles, crystals, decks, altar material, and so on. So I subscribe to their monthly mystery box, which comes with lots of goodies. Oh, enunciate with lots of goodies. And so that's the last thing that I brought. I'm pretty new to this mystery box because this has just been my third mystery box that I subscribed to, and I'm looking forward to seeing what other amazing things that the Lilith store sends across. Next question, what is your favorite witchy book? Now, if I have to choose fiction, then it has to be Circe by Madeline Miller. And it's a fictionalized, or rather a reinterpretation of Circe's tale from a very feminist perspective. The book is absolutely amazing, and I listened to it on Audible and I really enjoyed it. But if I were to talk of real craft books that I really like, the first one that gets my vote is this one, Earth Power by Scott Cunningham. I really like this because this has such a non-craft, non-magical, non-occultish approach to magic. Essentially, it simplifies magic into something that you can do every day. And a lot of us do these practices, even non-practitioners do these practices without knowing that this is magic or this is energetic intention. And I really love this book, and I would recommend this book to absolutely everyone. Apart from this, another book that I really love is the Guidebook of the Living Altar Oracle. This is essentially a spell book in the sense that they use poetry and prose, a combination of poetry and prose, to create spells that you can use as intentions, as affirmations, and you can work with either the cards, or you can just use them in your daily energetic workings. And this book is just really fabulous, and there are a couple of typos, I do agree, because this was the first printing right after the Kickstarter, and they haven't got around to fixing it. But I love this deck and I love this book, and I highly recommend it. Other books that I like, magical books that I like, is the Embody Your Magic by Gabriella Herstick. This is actually a workbook which gives you exercises that you can do to work with elements, the elemental magic, because Gabriella considers herself as an elemental and a sex magician, and so she has a lot of amazing exercises in this one. And the final book is not really a book related to magic or craft, although it is related to a craft, which is this, the Wild Unknown Art Journal. So I purchased this book because I really wanted to get into art journaling. I am not an artist, and I pretty much suck at drawing and painting, so I decided to really push myself this year and get this journal so I can start doing it. And I find that the more I use this book, the more confident I become in society, in public, when I'm interacting with other people. So I feel like there is a kind of magic, right? Like when you're reclaiming a part of yourself which you thought never existed. And so in that sense, I really think the Wild Unknown Art Journal is giving me a way to work with art magic, which is something not a lot of practitioners actually talk about, because consecrating your artistic tools and bringing your subconscious into the conscious realm through your artwork is a form of magic, is a sort of extension of, you could say, sigil, witchery, and other forms of written magic that is there. Do you have a familiar? No, I don't. And I don't think I need one either. And that's mainly because I work with a lot of animal energies. I predominantly work with animal and botanical energies in the form of energetic sense. I don't work with real animals because I feel like, this is just a personal thing for me. This is no judgment on people who do work with real animals. I just feel like animals are supposed to be in the wild. You're not supposed to go get a snake or a turtle and bring it home and keep it as a pet. So for me, when I work with animals, I work strictly with them in an energetic sense. That is, I work with oracle cards that have animal imagery, or I get a printout of a particular animal and I keep it in my book of shadows so I can work with that energy. The same goes with plants as well. So I feel like since I work with so many animals and so many, I wouldn't call them imaginary, or rather metaphysical animals, the more other realm animals as well. So I feel like I don't really need a familiar. That would sort of peg me down to just one animal, which I don't want to do. And secondly, I don't really identify with the concepts of familiars as well. And so I feel like having that open expanse of using so many other animal energies really frees me up and really adds a lot of nuance and layer to my practice. And so I don't really need a familiar. So yeah. What is your favorite witchy or magical scent? So this would have to be jasmine, lavender, and sandalwood. So jasmine, lavender, and sandalwood. Next question is, what is your favorite Sabbath? And this has to be Ostara, Beltane, and Litha. And that's mainly because I am personally a magical practitioner who works with summer, sun, light, energy, and warmth and heat, and those kinds of energies are really predominant in my practice. And for me, Litha, Beltane, and Ostara really represent that spectrum of spring, summer, and I really feel like that really encapsulates who I am as an individual as well. If you've seen some of my videos, you'll see I'm that kind of bubbly, energetic person as well. You can see the colors of my walls; they're bright yellow, and since I switched off all the lights, you can't really see how yellow they are. So that should pretty much tell you how much I love working with sun, solar, and warm energies, and the summer and spring elements of of the seasons. So those three are my favorite Sabbaths, and a lot of my favorite Hindu festivals also fall along with these Sabbaths. That is not exactly on the same dates. For example, Ugadi, which is the Hindu New Year, Sankranti, which is the harvest festival. So all of these are really similar in terms of like the timeline. And then Ganesh Chaturthi and Gauri Puja happen right after Ostara. That is about a month or so after Ostara does, and that's really exciting for me as well. So because that entire stretch of the year before winter sets in, before the darkness sets in, is my favorite. And any Sabbath, any festival falling on that time is something that I really look forward to. Are you in a coven or are you solitary? Solitary. I prefer to work solitary, and basically my practice is very simple and very minimalistic and very nature oriented. So I don't really need to be in a coven either, but I just generally don't enjoy working with groups. I'm a solitary practitioner. What is your favorite witchy / metaphysical shop? Well, the only metaphysical shop that I know is the Lilith store, so I would say the Lilith store. What is your favorite ritual, food or drink before, during or after a ritual? So I don't normally take anything before and during a ritual. Before the ritual, it's just because I am so filled with intention and energy that I don't really, it doesn't really strike me as, to consume any food or drink. During a ritual, I don't take anything unless, of course, the ritual demands that, which I don't think it has so far. None of the spells I've ever worked have required any food or drink that I need to consume during the experience. But after the ritual is done, after the spell is complete, I always take a sip of water in order to seal the ritual or seal the spell. So essentially the belief that I have is that your energy is so high and it's all over the place sometimes. Depending on what ritual that you're doing, you really need to ground your energy. You need to really call back your energy. You need to soothe your your chakras and your energetic stream that's sort of on overdrive right now because you've been working a spell or a ritual. So you need to kind of soothe it down, and I feel like water is the best soothing agent, the best ingredient or a beverage, you could call it, that brings everything together and really aligns your energetic stream once again. So I usually drink just a sip or two of water. Only if I'm feeling really tired do I take a couple of almonds or a banana or an apple or anything that's available after the ritual, and that's only if I'm feeling very drained. So otherwise, it's only water. What is your favorite witchy / magical setting? So for me, my favorite magical setting has to be somewhere where there are a lot of plants and trees, but also somewhere secluded and where I'm feeling comfortable. So usually I work best when I'm surrounded by my plants or when I'm surrounded by my books. So those are the two places that I really work very well with. You could call me a hearth practitioner as well, because I do a lot of my magical practices for my house and for my home and for my personal being. It's very rare that I do anything for other people. Community rituals in terms of healings and blessings, especially in times of war and other situations, are definitely there. But again, those are few and far between. So I'm mostly about house and house related magical practices. That's the kind of things that I practice. For me, my ideal magical setting would be inside the house or wherever the plants and books are. Choose a favorite magical system. Oof, this is a loaded one, but I have a very simple answer. It is a system that is created by me. So one of the goals that I had as a practitioner was to make a system of magic that is very South Asian, that is very rooted in my own cultural practices as opposed to a foreign practice. And so for me, the system that I love the best is the one that is rooted in my culture, which is South Asian culture. And so I would say my favorite system is South Asian system of magic. Choose a witchy brew or snack. Well, my witchy brew is the first brew that I drink every morning, which is coffee. I infuse intentions into my coffee for the day in terms of how I want my energy to be aligned. So that is something that I really like. Snacks, I am not really a fan of snacks. I don't have any snacks in between. I only have my main 3 meals. And but if I do have to have a snack, I would say that it would more lean towards mealtime magic, wherein once again I infuse intention into anything that I'm cooking. So if I'm cutting a vegetable, or if I'm kneading dough, or I'm making rice or anything, the stirring process, I infuse intentions for and prayers and blessings on the food. So that's something that I would. I don't know if it actually, if this answer really melts well with the whole what is your favorite magical witchy snack, but this is something that I do. So yeah. Tell us your favorite fictional animal. So my favorite fictional animal would have to be Thestrals from Harry Potter. I really love the idea of Thestrals. I love the way they've been described, in the sense that they sort of remind me of the death card in the tarot, where you misunderstand something, or even the tower, for example, where you misunderstand something because it looks so scary, but it doesn't necessarily have to be scary. Similarly, Thestrals are reviled because only people who've seen death can see them. But the Thestrals are such an integral cog in the machinery of Hogwarts. They help the carriages move forward, and they even help our gang of heroes and heroines get to the Ministry of Magic, do their thing, and come back to Hogwarts. So they are such an integral species in the Harry Potter film and Potter franchise, and so I feel like they're really misunderstood and they need to be revisited once again. So they're my favorites. Yeah, Thestrals. Next question. New Year's resolutions. Do you believe them? Why? Why not? So I do believe in New Year's resolutions, and the main reason is because I believe that they help me stay true to my commitments and my goals. So for example, one of the New Year resolutions that I had this year was to make more videos. And whenever I'm feeling really lazy about getting up, getting dressed, and getting in front of the camera, I remind myself that this is the resolution that I made for myself at the start of the year, and so I need to commit to it. Otherwise, how can I face myself at the end of the year, when I'm doing a review of the whole past year, and I see that I've not really done anything, or I've not done most of the things that I had promised myself that I would do. So yes, I do believe in New Year's resolutions. What are your favorite colors, and does your favorite color have an emotional or magical meaning to you? So my favorite colors are anything pastel. I love pastel colors. And if you actually see my wardrobe, you'll see a lot of pastels in there, along with black. I love black. I love red. And these days I'm really loving orange. And in terms of emotional connect to these colors, or magical connect to these colors, not really, not particularly, but I have noticed that whenever I cast a spell, or whenever I do a ritual, using a specific color really changes or adds or detracts to the practice in the first place. So I don't subscribe to a lot of the traditional meanings of colors associated when you consider, so for example, they say white is purity. So to me, white doesn't seem like that, it stands for purity, because it feels like saying white stands for purity is subscribing to stereotypical racially motivated values of white is good and black is bad, and I don't want to subscribe to those values, because I don't believe them. And as a person of color myself, I feel like I need to be more responsible in terms of how I practice my magic. And so for me, I don't really ascribe any meaning, the traditional meanings, to the colors. Rather, I give my own meaning to the colors that I use. So for example, when I'm doing candle magic, I intuitively select a color that calls out to me, because I know that's the way of the universe telling me that this is the color that you need to use. Do you use any substances for divination or magic? No. Apart from water, no, nothing else. So for me, the way I look at it is that water is essentially the only thing that I require in my practice for cleansing, charging, grounding, etc. So in terms of something consumable, water is the go-to thing for me. Okay, so the next two questions are really fun for me, which is first one, what is your most favorite part of your practice? And I have to say it's the inspiration, that ta-da moment that comes for me when I'm called to do a spell or called to do a ritual. So one thing about my practice is that it's a very spur of the moment and very simplistic practice. I don't use a lot of tools. I don't do a lot of planning, pre-planning and preparation. For me, it's just that sometimes I just feel the energy of the universe calling me. I feel like, okay, I might be doing something, let's say I might be washing the dishes, and I might suddenly feel the call from the universe, from my spirit guides telling me this is the right moment to do a spell, this is the right moment to do this ritual. And so for me, my favorite part of my entire practice is scrambling to get whatever resources that I can get my hands on at that moment, which feels holistically and intuitively right for that particular spell or ritual, and getting them all together and just putting the spell together and then doing it, you know. So that's what I really love about my practice, is that I enjoy that spur of the moment, that really fast and furious, you know, what ingredients am I going to use now? How am I going to whip up this spell? How am I going to whip up this ritual? What am I going to do? Because there are no rules, nothing. I really go with the flow and go with my own intuitive calling. So that's something that I really love. That's my favorite part of my practice, about how and what I'm going to be doing. Even I won't have any idea until the ritual or the spell is done. So now that you know what my most favorite part of the practice is, of course, the next question is, what is your least favorite part of your practice? And based on the answer that I just gave for my most favorite part, you won't have to guess too hard what my least favorite part is, which is following rules. I really, really dislike rules when it comes to magic, and I like to make my own rules as I go. I feel like rules, especially in terms of something as personal as spirituality, should not be there. Unless, of course, it's something that you are transgressing on a cultural practice or a closed culture or a ritual that is not meant for you, or that you need to have more knowledge and awareness about. If it is that, then definitely yes, 100% follow the rules. But if it is something that you're doing for yourself, for your own personal thing, and you are, you know, sourcing your own ingredients, you are creating your magic as you go, then I don't really think you need to follow somebody else's rules, because those rules work for them. They're not meant for you. And when they talk to you about their practice, they're coming from their life experiences and perspectives. And they haven't designed those practices for you specifically. If they work for you, great, but otherwise, no. So I don't really like following rules, so that's my least favorite part of the practice. And if there's something that really requires me to use the rule, I first research to check if it's a practice that is a closed practice, or something that is where the rules are really important and integral to the success of the ritual or spell that I'm doing. How has your practice grown? So for me, my practice has grown in leaps and bounds. In some stretches, and in some stretches it's been stagnant. But what I've seen is that I've come more into myself. I've developed the courage to build my own brand of South Asian practice and South Asian magic, and that's something that I'm really proud of. So, and also this year, especially end of 2021 and beginning of 2022, I've seen that my magic is leaning more towards the divinatory side. That is, my divinatory skills are sort of kicking in right now. They're not perfect yet, but then I'm sort of getting more intuitive divinatory hits than I used to the last year. So I need to see where this takes me. Is there a show or movie that inspires you? When it comes to magic and the craft, not really. But in saying that, I love the originals, which is by Julie Plec, and if you watch the Vampire Diaries series, then the originals is a spin-off from there. And I just love how dark and sexy and twisted it is. And it's not about witches or Wiccans. It is actually about vampires and werewolves. But I really love how how convoluted the dynamics are, and how emotionally charged each of the characters are, and they're so flawed. They're not human, but they're so human at the same time. I love that show. So that's a huge inspiration in terms of in terms of story crafting when I'm writing and things like that. I really love the sexy dark vibe that it has. Do you have any favorite YouTube channels? So I watch a lot of YouTube channels, YouTube accounts as well over here. And there are a lot of amazing practitioners, amazing non-practitioners as well, whose content is phenomenal. And so I want to acknowledge that I respect all of you, and all of your content is fabulous. If I have to recommend one account that I feel like everyone should check out, it has to be Do the Magical Thing. I will link Lee's website, or rather, sorry, channel down below. So Lee is a non-denominational practitioner, and they are I think one of the most research-oriented practitioners that I know. They love to read, and whatever videos that they make is very driven by this analytical, technical, and very but also practical-oriented side. I love Do the Magical Thing. These videos are always a revelation, and I feel like if you have to go ahead and explore a channel, why not check out Lee's? So like I said, I'll put the link down below, so you can go check it out. Name one thing that you must do every day for your emotional or mental well-being. So once again, I would have to go back to intention infusion. So like I said, I infuse a lot of my intentions for the day when I stir my coffee or when I cook my food. And essentially, I don't just stir in the intention, but I also do a blessing. So when I'm cooking, for example, I always put a blessing that whoever eats this food, may they be blessed with good life, good health, and may they find this day to be happy. So that's a blessing along whose lines that I always bless every food that I'm either cooking or I'm eating. And when I'm stirring my coffee or I'm heating my milk, I always put an intention for the day when I'm doing these activities. So this is something that I do every day without fail. And that actually helps me sort of internalize that energy once again. And isn't that what magic and spells is all about, for a large extent, that you are really internalizing and honing into those energies that you want to manifest in your day-to-day experience. So that's something that I do. So this is something that I must do every day, and that I will always continue to do. I've been doing it for years, even before I started practicing magic. So this is something that's been there always. So energetic infusion, intention infusion, and blessing. So that's something that I do. What is something that started as an obstacle but is today a blessing? Oh, this is something that is actually a really fun question for me, and the answer is makeup. I know you might not have been expecting this answer, but here's the truth. So when I started my YouTube channel, I would hate, putting in that effort to get ready, get dressed, put on my makeup, and come over here to film these videos. But I literally had to physically force myself to go out and do this, until it finally became something that I started enjoying. And it has been a real blessing, because putting on makeup introduced me to glamour magic. So glamour magic, I know it has some problems because of the dark side of glamour, and as someone who has come from a background where I used to suffer with a lot of body image issues and literally hate my body, glamour magic does definitely have its problems, but at the same time, glamour magic is also so empowering and so protective, and that's something that I've discovered for myself. So for example, drawing a pentagram with your with your moisturizer or your mascara or your foundation, sorry, not mascara, your foundation. Imagine drawing a pentagram with your mascara, your whole makeup is going to get ruined, right? Yeah, but with your foundation or your creams and so on. So this is really nice, a good way to protect yourself before you come out on screen, when people are watching. And also it's a great way to empower yourself. So although I used to really hate this part of my general practice or general life, I found that it to be really empowering and something that I'm really enjoying these days. So glamour magic. What do you prefer? YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook? So first off, TikTok is not there in India, and that's mainly because of certain skirmishes between the Indian and Chinese government. Facebook, I'm not on Facebook, and actually I was not on social media for years, for almost 7 to 8 years, and I just came back last year because I felt like I needed a sense of community. Instagram, while it was fun initially last year, it's just become a really toxic and really stressful environment. So I would say YouTube. YouTube is just like so freeing. There is no one like, There's no one who's pressurizing you to put out content. It's a very chill place. People might come across your channel and they might like it, they might comment and they might go back, but there's none of that performative aspect that is there on Instagram. And more importantly, the very nature of YouTube videos ensures that people who are committed to you and who want to actually hear from you will stick through your video, whereas Instagram is all just about the scrolling and mindless scrolling, might I add. So you don't really know whether your content is really adding any value to someone's life. And there's also a risk that we ourselves might become one of those mindless zombies who just scroll through Instagram feeds, which I don't want to be. So I'm really trying to move out of Instagram, and I do hope to do so by the end of this year, where YouTube will become my mainstay. So let's see, fingers crossed. This next question is a really interesting question, and it is, what do you think is missing from our witchy or magical community? And one thing that is really missing from our magical community is representation. And I mean representation in all forms. So first of all, representation in the form of the kind of magic that people practice. So if you look at a lot of these videos or a lot of blog posts that talk of magic and talk of spirituality, the occult, the metaphysical, it's very much from a Western perspective. That is, it's either American or European, one of the two. And while that's okay, that's perfectly fine. The problem is, for a lot of practitioners like me who come from the East, it is very difficult to find practices that are culturally, they're culturally ours, or that they are similar to ours, where we can actually understand the traditions behind the practice before we implement them. Because the one thing that I really dislike is implementing a practice or a spell or a ritual without really understanding the technicalities behind it or the understanding behind it. So I would prefer if a particular magical practice came from my tradition or something similar to mine, so that I can understand it better. And that is something that I feel like is really lacking from the community today, magical community as a whole today. And I feel like we need more representation. And secondly, representation in the form of marginalized witches. One of my friends has a chronic illness, and she is often called out for not being a real practitioner because she doesn't practice as much as some other people do, which I feel is like a very toxic and hateful and hurtful thing to do. And people shouldn't just do that. People should allow everyone to practice the way they want. And so we need more representation in terms of culture, so that we don't end up co-opting somebody else's just to practice. And secondly, in terms of the kind of people who are put forward into the media spotlight, so that everyone understands that there are all kinds of practices out there, and that's perfectly okay. How much space do you use for supplies and spell work? Very little. I pretty much have a rule that wherever I'm standing or wherever I'm sitting, that's the space that I need to use for my spell work. So it's a very small space. The altar, like you see, it's over here. That's a very small tabletop that I have, and that's the only space that I use for my altar. I have a box where I keep the rest of my candles, crystals, and so on, and that's just a small thing that takes up a space in my book rack, and that's just it. And when I'm doing a spell, it's just wherever I'm standing or wherever I'm sitting, that place, that's it. No other space is allocated for specific spell work or ritual. And like I said, it's more of a spur of the moment, simplistic thing. So wherever I am, whatever I can get my hands on, I work there. Do you prefer tarot, runes, oracle, or pendulum? Oracle cards. You will know why if you watch some of my other videos, because I've been very vocal about my love for oracle cards. But basically, it's because I feel oracles give you a very expansive energy to work with. You don't have to peg yourself down to a specific action. You can use your oracle cards to show you the way of where you want to go, what energies you want to manifest in your life, without really pegging down a specific event or occurrence. You can give the universe some freedom to change things up, so long as it is working within this particular energy. And that's something that I really like, because what's life without some surprises, right? So you can control a certain element of the energies and occurrences in your life with oracle spells, but there's also this surprise and freedom that comes with not having the level of detail that tarot comes with. In terms of divination as well, I did try working with pendulums it's just not working for me. Maybe it's because I'm not there yet. Maybe it's not my time to learn how to work with pendulums yet, because I'm a huge believer in the whole divine timing concept. So I'm gonna keep giving it a couple more tries. I'm not gonna give up on that. But I feel even in terms of divination, I feel like oracle cards are the best for me, and after that is runes. Runes are surprisingly good for me right now. And again, runes is something that I just picked up this year, just a couple of months ago. So I'm really enjoying using runes as well. Another loaded question, are you out of the broom closet? Yes and no. Yes to my family, no to the rest of the world. This is mainly because, there is a lot of fear and paranoia and misinformation about what is magic and who is a practitioner out here in India, and it is quite dangerous to come out. And I don't personally like using the word witch as a label or an appellate for myself. I prefer myself to call myself a magical practitioner or a magical being. Mainly because what I'm doing and what I'm working is, is just nature-oriented magic, using herbs, using crystals, using animal energies, using botanical energies. That's just it. So I don't want to peg myself down to that, and also that's also one of the reasons why I'm not out of the broom closet for others. Although occasionally you will see me talking about magical practices, and you will see me talking about magic in my videos, but generally, am I out to the rest of the world? Not everywhere and not to everyone. I hope this will change. I hope the world over, the taboo and the hate that magical practitioners get because of fear and misinformation ends, and I hope everyone gets to come out of their broom closet soon. Now for the final prompt in this video, which is who are you going to tag to continue your challenge /VR? Honestly, I'm not going to tag anyone because I'm going to keep this open. So if you like what you've seen, if you want to take part in this challenge, go down, the questions are below, copy paste them, try them out, and do tag me in that so that I can come and check out your video as well. And if you stuck around this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a fabulous day. Blessed be. Namaste.